All right, here I am out at Troy Farm with Kim Fruin of FarmHer Greens. We're super excited to be out here just talking with Kim a little bit about her business and her life, how she got into farming, and then this beautiful piece of land that she is stewarding. So, welcome, Kim. Guess I should say welcome to me, to your farm. How are you doing? Do you want to introduce yourself and just let people know who you are and anything of your story you'd like to share to get us started?
Yes. Well, hi, and thank you, Sarah, for asking me to do this. I'm honored. Um, my name is Kim, and I am a farm her. I'm a woman farmer, African American woman farmer, and I have got into farming. Maybe like I don't know. It feels like forever, but maybe I want to say about 13, 14 years now. And I came into farming way of sickness. I had a cancer scare, and I also had some other health challenges at the time, and I didn't know how to grow any food. Although my maiden name is Farmer, I didn't know anything about farming. I didn't even know that it was in my background. Come to find out now, my family tells me, "Oh, we used to farm and we had a farm." I'm like, "Really? How come nobody told me this?" Kind of thing. And and so I I I was sick, and I really didn't. I had an option to take medication, radiation, chemo, and I didn't want to do that because I had little ones. And if I would have done that, then I would have they were likely to go into the system because I was also single, well, married, but estranged from my husband, so we were separated. And so living as a single mom woman, I was like, no, absolutely not. And although I had a beautiful church community, uh, they had their own family, and so they could only keep them for limited time, and I didn't know what else to do other than to start praying and looking for solutions like us women do. And so I had come across some farmers in the area, and a friend of mine had said, "Hey, well, here's some information that I think that you might be into." Because at the time I was also doing herbs and trying to just learn about herbs and heal myself with herbs. And she says, "I think this might be good for you." And so it was through the UW system, where they partnered with another organization where I lived and brought it together, where they offered, where they would come to your home and do a raised bed for you. Well, with you, they built it, and then they would teach you for a season, a growing season, how to be able to do it so that you can be successful. And I signed up for it, and the rest is history. So that's how I got into farming. I learned, and I grew, and I grew with it, and it became a passion of mine. And I realized that it was part of my calling. I have a big heart. I love to give, and with you know we have a garden, it's abundance. And I just didn't want to stop with myself, because I noticed that a lot of African American families that I would visit, especially my own family, we had four of my aunts who had died of breast cancer or some form of cancer. And I was like, well, people need to know this. Like you can heal yourself with food, like, because with me, I learned to reduce tumors with using the brassica family. And yes, I do know that it could go the other way, but there's also where you can reduce it, and making your body alkaline. And I stumbled across, prayerfully, I stumbled across green smoothies, and a Russian lady who had healed her family, a professor who had healed her family of diabetes, cancer, you name it. And I was like, wow, really? And so I started making green smoothies. And then that's when I learned that greens, we don't get enough in our diet. and they're one of the easiest things that we can grow, especially here in Wisconsin. And so I started to learn about that, and I started to go and share it with people, whoever, whether it was churches, community centers, wherever they would let me share it. I was living in a duplex at the time, and I turned my front yard and my backyard into well, at the time I didn't know what it was. I just wanted to keep the food close to me, and where I didn't have to go drive, from place to place. Um, and I had food there because I wanted to attract people, and we lived on a cul-de-sac, so I wanted to attract people there, and that was going to be my talking piece. And so then I got other certifications, and through other organizations, I was a Victory Garden master uh, liaison person. I don't even remember the name, but it doesn't even matter. But that I used to be able to, as a talking piece, to be able to help other people, was saying that if I could do it, and I had two black thumbs, which I'm proud of, but now they're green. If I can do that, you can do that too. And let me show you how to do that. I want to walk alongside of you to do that. And so that's what I did. And I wanted to get my kids involved because, well, I was homeschooling also at the time. And I just turned it into oasis. We had chickens, rabbits. I was my vision of a farm. Someday I'm going to do that. Well, that has not happened yet, but I still have that dream, and it's going to be my grandchildren. Okay, but the grandchildren are going to be the one to steward that. I see my granddaughter come out here all the time, and she says, "This is my farm, grand. That side is yours. That side is mine. And this side is yours." I'm like, okay, you keep on speaking that, and so uh, what I did to mitigate that, to work around, because there's so many nuances in farming, especially for African Americans or people of BIPOC community, even. And so I learned something called spin farming, and which is where you take land up with other people, because I had other people that were around me who didn't farm, but they were farmers at one particular point in time, and so they were proud of me, like, yeah, well, why don't you do that? And they were like, well, if you can get in something to grow here, then I'll let you have it for free. I was like, really? And so I did. I said I can, and I said, well, you give it to me for 2 seasons, and then in 2 seasons, if after that you want it back, I'll give it back to you. But I would like for them to keep it as a garden, to continue to go grow. But if they don't, I had it for 2 seasons, and I'll just move on. And also I would give them what we know of as a share now. So I would give them the first tenth of that produce. Now I couldn't be the only one pick it, because I needed to know how much I had, and to be able to make sure I had enough for the other clients. And that was the way I learned how to do it. So then I would have some, all sporadically around town. And I just got with a group of other farmers online, YouTube University. And when there was, not happening, you didn't want to say that, because people were like, well, where did you learn from? I didn't want to say, oh, YouTube University, but then I started saying it, and now I see it's an actual thing. But at the time, it wasn't. Like, people wanted you to have credentials, and I didn't. But I had time because I was ill and getting well, and I had children, and I wanted them to learn it and be out in it, because that's the best way you learn. You learn by doing. I'm a kinetic learner, and so and I have a lot of energy, so they call it ADHD, but hey, I just call it a gift to be able to do things that I was called to do, which is one of them is of course farming. And from there, we grew over 1,000 pounds off of different, mini lots of 2020. We had 4 mini plots of 20 by 20 garden plots, and then it grew into where I almost had a half an acre before I knew it. And I had to stopped saying yes. My kids were like, "Ma, don't see nothing green, no more. Stop," kind of thing, which I still do today, and which now is what I do now. So what you see here is part of that. My main, this is my base, is Troy Farm, and then I have other pockets, like I have some garden space up in the front, and then other friends who they're now my friends, family, that let me also grow specialty things there, and those are where my vision now I see that I would use to do seed saving,
Yeah.
because you have to have what I've learned, in the last 2 years. You have to have a certain amount of space, and people can't be growing it in the same area. So those are more of where a lot of my target areas are. Or if I can't get things in microclimates, and I can get that in faster there to get me boosted to go the next step, I would do that. And that way it keeps my costs low. I don't have to pay for land because the water is already there. The land is there. I just continue to keep it up, and that's where my regenerative part comes in. I don't use any chemicals because I'm on a certified organic farm. So I take weeds. Other people hate them, and I'm like, I love them, and I've learned what weeds I need for my NPKs, and then I will take them and put them in 5-gallon buckets, and I will make a soluble solution, and that's highly potent because the weeds, they are already acclimated to it. They can go down deep. They can pull up the nutrients that's needed, and they weathered everything. They will then, through they'll through their nutrients that they have, their nutrient cycle. I can give it to the to the domesticated plants, and the domesticated plants will then have the same vigor and what is it, resilience, as they do, and then they'll also have the nutrients, which then I don't have to go try to source different nutrients from here and there because I don't have it like that. My
Yeah.
pocket don't run that deep.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, Mother Nature makes a lot of that for us.
Yes.
For people who don't know what MPK is,
Oh,
you want to share?
that's nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Those are the basic things that your plants need. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. And see, I've learned some things. And then those are the things that'll continue to help your plants to have what they need. But then you have the micronutrients, and minerals that your plants need, like calcium. I didn't know that calcium is, it helps us to be able to stand up strong and tall. Well, it does it to the plants too, and it keeps them tight. And so that closes a cell wall. So if a bug wants to get in there, like we have flea beetles that gave me a heart attack last year, uh, and it makes it where they can't recognize that as food, and it also makes it last longer. Between that and magnesium, makes it last longer in your refrigerator.
Mhm.
So when I started, I was like, oh, okay, well, I got some relationship now. I understand, now I get it, and those are kind of things that I want other people to be able to get, understand, because then you will have more appreciation for the food that you put in your body, than also where you're at too, and how you're using the land. And I don't just stop there. I take that same thing, and now I'm using that plant to then, at the end of the season, I'll spray it. I'll do a 4-cycle spray, and I'll spray it so that I'm working also now with the microbes. I work with mycelium, which is a powerhouse, and then which will put everything in balance, in check, and help me get ready for the next year, as well as cover crops, to give it the my land the rest it needs, because I don't want to rape it and keep on taking from it. Whatever I took, I need to give back, and the earth will let you know, because it will go hard on you, like how they say a woman scorn. It will, and it will not produce for you, or it will be very bitter in that area. So, you know, and since I'm on a small, you know, I can't even say acreage, but you know, a small area of land, and if I'm going to use it more than one time in that in those years, which I end up doing, this gives me the opportunity to be able to do that with still taking care of and being a good steward of the land as well as the plants and everything that I grow.
That's so inspiring. I think, you know, many of us don't have the kind of funds to purchase land, and a lot of us don't have the funds to buy a lot of inputs for farms. And
Right.
it is really beautiful just to see how you have put it together in like a different way that's kind of outside the capitalist norm, you know, to support the earth and to support yourself and your family and the community.
Yeah, having that closed loop system, you know, with homesteading, because my farm is actually called FarmHer Greens Regenerative Farmstead.
I'm gonna zoom in on your earrings, okay? Because I saw those. Those are beautiful.
Oh,
Those are super beautiful.
so everybody was telling me your name is so long, and I was like, yeah, I know, right? So I just say FarmHer Greens for short. But you know, it's important for you to know the regenerative part of it, that piece of it, because you know, like you said, a lot of us don't have access to that land. And how are you going to take care of the land that you do? We think that we need a lot to do it, and you don't. You can use what if you use efficiently what you have, you can do a lot with a little. I have come to understand that and understand that, and using the indigenous practices empowers me to do that. You know, I know that I wouldn't have come up with this on my own. I actually didn't even know about anything about indigenous or any of those words. It was by me working with the plants. They do speak to you. You know, you get those plants in your body. I'm telling you, I don't. You know, they don't work for me. I work for them. I'm their spokesperson. You know, to get it into your body, and to you will feel 10,000 times better. But then also you'll have a unctioning, a desire to it. Like you'll be salivating for greens like there's is steak, grass like it's steak. Why? Because your body has the same, makeup as they did. So they're giving you the things that you need, and they're regulating your mind from being, stressed as well. So it's benefits all the way around. They're teaching me how to be, how to be happy with what I have, and then also how to be able to give and take, and then to share that with others. And I'm so thankful for plants and how they do that, and how land and all the microbes, that whole network down there, they do that as well.
Yeah, and taking care of the earth. The earth takes care of the plants, and plants take care of us. Right? I love that
Yes.
cycle too.
Yes, and then and I don't just think on this plane. I think of also the atmosphere too, because I also do what's called lunar farming, which is where I do things by the calendar of the moon, the cycles of the moon. And when it's resting, I'm still learning about that rest part, okay? I ain't there yet. But, most of the times, so that, a lot of us don't know what a lot of our trying to think of, with landscape people, they know that if you cut on a certain day, that you either going to get more weeds or you're not going to get those weeds. So if you're cutting towards the moon, it's going to continue to grow and it's going to flourish. That's why people cut their hair during a certain time. Well, that works, on with land and plants too. And if you do it when there's a rest cycle, when it's like completely black, then that signals to the ground to rest. That's the time when you start pulling those weeds, and they won't come back as fast. You don't have to pick as much. So I've learned those things as well, and working with the atmosphere as well. Too. So
yeah, working with the natural world instead of against it. Huh?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Kim, what are some of the things that you're growing over here, and where does all this produce go?
Some of the things I grow, like you see my collard greens, I had like this whole bed here. I had what over 2,000 plants in this area, like 300 here, 300 here, 300 here, 300 there, of collard greens. Those was all collard greens. So now they're wanting to pop up. So I had what do you call this here? I just cut down buckwheat because I want to plant garlic, and then this is clover, red clover, and I want to be able to put this. This is me putting my cover crops down to re-establish the nutrients back into the soil, and also to have it where there's roots in the ground, and it's not just laying bare. And this is my collard green bed for, believe it or not, next year. So these plants are here from last year, and these are the seeds from it. And so now I'll have FarmHer Green seeds.
Collard green
So
seeds.
these are collard green seeds. So these are all different varieties. I work with a project through REAP, called the Collard Green Project, and I want to be able to be a part of that seed bank, and trying out different type of collard greens. And we need that, and I value that, and so I want to support that, and so I work with them also, that these are greens that I will harvest, and I'll grow, and then I'll harvest them, and then I'll go to feed kitchens, and then I'll chiffonade them, a fancy word of cutting them really tiny, and then I will put them in bags for so they're nutrient dense, shelf stable food for different communities that they send it out to. They work with Second Harvest, as well as they have their own different what do you call it, projects that they work with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I, like, tomorrow I will go off and I will take my beautiful new truck, and I will go and I will deliver it to them, and then they'll disperse it out into the communities, to target areas for BIPOC communities. And last year I did the same thing, but I worked with I had an LFPA grant, and I grew for targeted areas of food banks, working with Second Harvest, and working with the feed kitchens for an agency that picks up food and goes and distributes it out into African American communities, other BIPOC communities in the area, and give it to them for free. So I contract with them to be able to have food free to people out in the community like yourself.
Got you. Okay, that's beautiful. And what kind of greens are these? Are you growing the heirloom varieties?
Yes, I'm growing heirloom varieties. I like to stick to those because they're open pollinated,
Yeah.
and then I could be able to save it and it'd be true to seed. And there's no chemicals. I don't do GMO, none of that. And those seeds have a memory back to our ancestors, which brings me to another point, is that I grow primarily Afro-Indigenous food crops. So because it's important, it's fine if we eat from other people's genotype, their food, but if you eat from your own genotype, that will unlock things in your body that like will shut down cancers in your body, will shut down leukemia, and where you see that other people don't have that in their diet. I mean, excuse me, in their in their group.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I want to do is I want to reintroduce that back into not only my body but other people's body as well, and to help them to relearn, find that back out again, awaken that in them. Just like our food has a cell memory, the seed has a cell memory, and we have that within us. And it's like a key, and it fits, and it just unlocks it, and then it shuts that down in your system, in your body, and it unlocks other things. So that's why it's important to me for me to grow food that's Afro-Indigenous.
Yeah. So really kind of reconnecting us to our own body's wisdoms of our ancestral foodways and the
Absolutely.
healing
Absolutely.
properties of them.
Absolutely. And this is my okra. This is also part of the food project. And there's many different types of okra. They are not all the same. And I want to save it because I want to have it to save the seed. For me, I don't mind that they're going to mix because they will.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see what FarmHer Greens is going to come out with. You know, it's going to
Yeah.
be my own unique seed. But it's using okra seeds that we don't usually use or we don't usually think of. Instead of just spineless, the spineless okra variety, I wanted other varieties as well. And I understand that we use it because it's more, it's more productive. But I think also there's value in having other species
Yeah, and some of
of
those
types.
big seed companies have just bought up so many of the little ones. A
Yes,
lot of our seeds, we've gone from
absolutely,
thousands of varieties for like a handful. So
absolutely,
it's
and
almost like a revolutionary act saving seeds. Like,
yeah, absolutely. If we go down here, I'll show you. This was where I had watermelon. I had yellow watermelon, and people like yellow watermelon. It's not here anymore. But I also had other things to attract it, like these blanket flowers. I put down wood chips, and I'll spray my special secret sauce spray, and I'll have wood chips. And people say, "Oh, well, wood chips is the nitrogen. You're gonna rob it." I don't mix it in, but I do have it because it helps retain water, um, and then it also attracts worms. And I do have, well, let me say this right. There are worms here. I don't have them, okay, but they are here, and I need to feed them. I have to feed the microbiology, and so and they don't like light, and nor does the mycelium. So that way, the plants will be able to withstand if we have too much rain or not enough rain, or whatever weather we have, and it keeps me from also having to use a lot of water when we don't have water. So I use it for those reasons. But down here, I think I have one of the watermelons that's still holding on. Let me see.
so it is about mid-October when we're filming this. So we're about to probably have a freeze
Yes,
the next night or two. So this is
that's one of the watermelons. That's one of the watermelons that held on.
yes.
It must have just went down because it had a crease in there and I couldn't get it out. But that's going to be good for me to eat. But this is what I did. I wanted to, because I don't have a lot of space.
Yeah.
These two watermelons, they're ready. Actually, I can just take them off now. Yep, this was a yellow one, but it's no more good. But it is good because I'm going to use it for seeds.
Yes.
So this is another way that you can do seed saving. And this one is really ready. It's like, hey, mama, come eat me. And I had this where it was covered with vines, and it gives me more space to work with. So growing vertical is one of the other options I do. Using black plastic culture, I use that. My goal is to get where it's all wood chips, but I'm not there yet. So I'm and get away from the plastic. But I appreciate the plastic.
Right.
Well, thank God for the plastic, because the weeds, woo, they're not to play with.
Yeah.
So that's what was here, and then other climbing things like cucumbers or beans, peas. So then I could be able to use it in succession, to doing succession planting, because it's really me. My kids help me sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
They feel really sad for me. But this allows for me to be able, when I do succession planting, to plant it in what I call blocks, and still be able to have some type of life outside of farming, and it could be able to still take care of itself, because I wanted to mimic nature, and where it's going to take care of itself, and so I can just step away, and it does what it needs to do. So yeah. Yes, I do have weeds, but trust me, I would have had a lot more of them.
Everybody does.
This right here, It because we had to freeze this right here is called Jamaican sorrel. I grow Jamaican sorrel because a lot of us who are African Americans, we have one of the highest rates of what do you call it of high blood pressure and diabetes, and so that was for me to make a drink called Jamaican sorrel with, or zobo, in Nigerian culture called, or Ghana. And so I will make that, or zobolo, and I'll make it with with the with the flowers, the calyxes. I'll dry them, or I'll have it fresh, and then I'll bottle it and make what's it called, a value added product, and then those I'll put the inside of my, I don't have like CSA shares, but they're like farm boxes. The difference is that when you have a farm box, it's what you have, versus a CSA share is what you already plan to grow. So that's the difference. So I might have a box that has all of the things I grow, or just a target thing like, superfood greens, and just that box. And then those boxes will go out and be distributed, and then it'll go with like a pamphlet of how to be able to use it, and the history behind that plant, and why is it valuable for us to acclimate that, put that in our diet today, or a recipe. And so let's see, we can cross over this way. All these right here are turnip greens. Over on this side, we can. And before I had oats. So then I cut this down and I'm letting this rest. So and then here there's the turnips that are coming up, but I use the tops and the bottoms. And people in African American culture, they use it. They mix their greens. We mix our greens. And then I have over there, I have hot peppers, Thai hot peppers, and over here is eggplants, and down that end is eggplants as well. Because did you know you can make vegan bacon with eggplants?
I did not know that.
Yes.
That sounds
There's probably be a workshop.
Yes, we can invite you back.
Yes, doing vegan bacon. We can cross over if you would like to. Let me see. And over here, there's more okra. I separated the okra because there was some people who had okra, and they were like, "Kim, why don't you try this part?" So I just tried it, and so now that's what I have. And they're still producing.
Amazing.
So what I'll do with those is I will cut them. I will take them to a processing place, feed kitchens, and then I will bag them, vacuum seal them, bag them, and then have them for us, people in the wintertime.
Kim, this is absolutely beautiful, and I want to just thank you for taking the time to share all this with us today. And we will bring Kim back again to share more of what she's up to, because she is all over this place doing all the things. And this is just such a beautiful time to be out here on the farm. Thank you for the tour.
You're welcome.
And thank you for sharing some of your story. And yeah, we will keep you posted. I'll put some links in the comments that y'all can keep up to date on FarmHer Greens and Kim and what she is up to out here and in all the other spaces that she's got her story in Madison.
Yes, thank you everybody. Goodbye. Have a great day, evening, whichever way it is.
Yes.
And keep yourself healthy. Stay healthy.
And keep posted, and we will keep you all updated. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye-bye.